We welcome you back to Longhorn Weekly. Craig Way with you, joined by Steve Patterson, the athletics director at the University of Texas. I mentioned that we were going to talk about your assessment, your thoughts on your athletic programs. Now, it's pretty easy in the layman's terms, or a fan's definition, or even a media's definition, to assess success of athletic programs. They look at the left column, they look at the right column, they look at W's and L's and W's and L's, and that seems to be at its core the fans or the media's definition for the assessment of success or failure with an athletic program. What do you think, in the macro, an athletic director's view of the assessment of success of an athletic program is, and B, yours in specific?
Well, I think it can vary from university to university, but here what we've tried to do is take each one of the athletic department teams, take them apart, and look at what we expect out of them in terms of what they win, in terms of wins and losses. What have they done, and what do the metrics look like in terms of graduation and progress towards a degree? What kind of revenues we're able to generate to make sure that each one of the teams is self-supporting as best they can, and if we have any issues off the field or floor. And so you have to be successful in all of those to be ultimately successful as it rolls up to the department as a whole.
As far as, and let's start it off with football. It's kind of interesting because you come right in, and the most headline grabbing of things is the coaching change, and with Coach Strong coming in. It's kind of difficult to say, here's an assessment of what he's done. He just got on the job, kind of like what you did. But how about your assessment of what you've seen, what Coach Strong has done with the program, gearing it up toward his first football season?
Yeah, I think it's easy to get focused totally on the head coach, but I think you have to look at what the staff in its entirety have done. I'm pleased about what Charlie's done in terms of getting a staff built, getting in here and getting set up. Done a great job on the tour across the country from one of the state to the other. I feel very good about where we're headed academics with some of the changes we made there. We made some changes in strength and conditioning. I think we're making progress there. We made some changes in the training and what's going on with the staffing there. So, it's probably more like 20 or 30 people that you're really changing roles and responsibilities and personnel, and I think we've made a lot of progress everywhere. In talking to the faculty, they see a positive response across the campus in terms of what the student athletes, how they comport themselves, how they've done in their classes. Some of the student athletes that struggled a little earlier in the fall have made good comebacks in the spring. You look at our APR numbers, they're really good. You look at our GPA numbers that are up. So a lot of things that have to happen have been very successful. You look at what's happened in terms of ticket sales and response in that market. We're up. We're well ahead of last year where we were at this time. So that part's good. We're not having issues off the field. So right now we're undefeated. We'll see how it goes once we get to the fall.
With men's basketball, and for that matter, women's basketball as well. You talk about two programs that made big comebacks, returning to the NCAA tournament. A lot of success, a lot of excitement about that. And when you jumped right in, it was as men's and women's basketball were getting cranked up again, and what Coach Barnes and what Coach Aston did with their programs to get them back to the NCAA tournament.
I think both of them did a great job retooling their rosters and retooling the focus of their teams. A lot of people didn't give Rick credit for the talent that he had on the roster, but I think they were a fun team to watch. They played hard every day, done a great job in the classroom, got back to the NCAAs, won the first round. Thank God, otherwise I wouldn't have been able to go back to Scottsdale, the golf course ever.
I remember talking to you before the game, and you said, this really needs to be in the win column.
We got to win this one, or I'm never going to be able to play any golf again in the Phoenix area. But then did a great job in terms of recruiting. People are excited about Miles Turner. I think we've got a lot of upside for what's going to happen with men's basketball next year. Same thing on the women's side. I look for some very good things next year. Ticket sales are up. They're both doing their job with their teams academically. No issues off the floor. Always have quality folks on those two rosters. So I think we made a lot of progress in basketball this year.
Baseball, of course, is going to be going back to the NCAA tournament.
Yep.
As Augie Garrido has them back on track as well. They had a really good academic spring as well. They get ready for the Big 12 Conference tournament as well. But your thoughts on what Augie's done with baseball?
I think we've made progress there. We got to finish out the rest of the season. Hopefully we can go deep in the Big 12 championship play. We'd like to win that and then see what happens in the NCAAs. It's going to be tough for us to host. We'd like to be in a position to do that, but given our record, but I think progress there as well.
And then as far as Olympic sports go, it's always important to get your thoughts on that because, again, going back to a general overview vision of some fans, it might be out of sight, out of mind with some of them with regard to Olympic sports. But it's all part of the athletic director's responsibility, and I know those are important to you as well.
Well, we've got roughly 500 student athletes in our athletic department. So, we've got a great swimming and diving program year in and year out. Reese's been there since I was a student. We want to see that team be in the top 3 every year and challenging for a national championship. We hosted the NCAAs this year, and after a couple of days, we were leading, and Cal just beat us out on the last day. But we got a lot of young swimmers. Hopefully, they'll come back and be better next year. Golf's making progress. They're still playing, which is good. Tennis was a top 10 finish in the country, so I feel good about where we're headed there. You look across the board, I think we had something like 7 conference championships. All our men's teams made it to NCAA postseason competition. I think 17 out of 20 teams did as a whole. So I think the department has always been very strong. A few of the sports have struggled at times, and that'll happen across 20 sports, but a great base that DeLoss and Chris have built here for many years, and we just want to continue to build on that.
Should it be the athletic director's vision? We know what it is of the coaches, but the athletic director's expectation that all of his programs, both the quote-unquote major sports or the revenue sports, however folks want to classify it, the Olympic sports, that all of them should be in NCAA competition on an annual basis.
That's how I feel we ought to be. We've got tremendous athletes that we can draw from in this state. We've got great coaches. We've got great facilities. They're well supported. We ought to be very competitive across the board. We ought to be finishing near the top of the Directors' Cup every year. We've got 20 sports that we sponsor. We want to be very competitive in every single one.